Okay, I'm live. We just need to wait for Nikki, which hopefully this works. Facebook changed how they allow lives. So we used to be able to stream it from Zoom, and now they don't let you do that anymore. So this is the more stressful, complicated way. So I'm on my phone, and then I'm looking down at my computer too, just in case if anybody has any questions and is joining us. Okay, I see that there's 2 people here, but Nikki, if it's you, I cannot see, can't see you. Okay, she's trying to join, shit. Let me try and do it this way. Okay, I see that you're here, but I don't see the request. What is this? No viewers yet. If you're not on your phone, you might have to be on your phone if you don't see it. Otherwise, we will figure out another way. Another way to do it. If you are here, because I see there's a couple of viewers actually, and you have questions while we wait for Nikki, you can put your questions in the comments because I can see those. And we're happy to answer them for you. So if you didn't know, I guess I should explain VA because I'm gonna do the same live in my Medicare group, and people thought VA meant, you know, like Veterans Affairs, and we're actually talking about virtual assistants today. So. It says adding.
It worked!
I did it.
Okay, I had to be on my phone. Now I need to like adjust everything.
I know, it's very annoying, and I appreciate you doing this.
I'm waiting for my phone to just like face dive at me. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually using a tripod today, but usually I have it like propped up on something weird and random. So I'm doing it the professional way.
Yeah, it's like on my computer, on a book. It's fine. We're going to go with it.
It's good. I'm glad that we figured it out. Thank you for being here and for being flexible.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So when I was talking to myself and I was waiting for you, I was explaining that we are talking about VA services as in virtual assistant services, not veteran affairs services, because there was some confusion in my other Facebook group.
I get that a lot, actually. And I was guilty of it too before I jumped into the VA realm. Like I was like, I don't understand, like, why are we talking about veterans?
Yeah.
But
yeah. So we're clarifying that we're talking about virtual assistant programs. And why I wanted to have Nikki here is because she owns Couchside Coordinators and started it. And it's so helpful for therapists and group practice owners to use VA services. But we also talk a lot in my group about income streams because I have so many. And I love that like this kind of started as your side hustle and then grew to something bigger. So give us like the little elevator pitch about how you started and what that looks like now.
Yeah, so elevator pitch, I'm also a licensed psychologist. I have had my own private practice since 2019, so like right before COVID hit. I was always hybrid. I'm licensed in 4 different states. COVID hit, like many of us, most of us, I went completely virtual. And then I want to say it was around this time last year, I really started to like feel the burnout, clinical wise. Like I love what I do. I love my patients. But like I was waking up in the morning and being like, I don't want to be a therapist today. I'm like, that's not okay. So I took a step back clinically and was like, okay, how am I going to supplement that income? And a bunch of my colleagues were like, you're the weird therapist that loves documenting things. Like, I get so excited over like treatment plans. I'm like, yes. So weird, but it's fine. We're going to go with it. So they were like, why don't you do like VA work? I personally, in my private practice, I had horrible experiences with VAs. My colleagues were saying the same thing. So they were like, we'll hire you. Like, we trust you. Cool. So started doing it as a side hustle last summer. I actually just hit technically the 1 year mark. It was June 29th.
Oh my God.
It's crazy. And then fast forward to the fall, my husband and I had like a lot of loss, a lot of trauma going on, and I needed to take a further step back clinically. But when I sat down and evaluated everything, I was actually working more hours for VA work than private practice. And then I was like, I can make this into something bigger. And Couchside officially became Couchside January. Oh, no, I'm sorry. So it was June 26th. January 29th was when I actually made Couchside what it is right now.
That's amazing that this happened so quickly. It feels like
it happened fast. Like I said, I had way more hours VA work. I actually had a wait list, and then I started hiring people and just being like, oh, like I'll do it slowly. And between January and now, we went from me and 3 people to now there's 12 of us.
oh my God. Well,
Yes.
there's a huge need, so I'm not surprised.
So we grew quickly. It was a great problem to have, but nothing that I anticipated. Yes, I thought it was going to be like another income stream, but not the way that it turned out to be. I'm actually not really doing any more VA work. I am now leading my team.
Yeah, which is what happens when you scale. So yay.
Yes.
Yay for that.
Yay for scaling.
Like, how did you figure out systems? Like, did you already know a lot of these things, or did you like take a course? Like, I always wonder because I feel like my OBM and my VAs have all these things streamlined that I've never heard of, and I know yours do too. And I'm like, how did you figure that out?
I will say some of it I did know. Others, it was just kind of, what is that phrase, like trial by fire or whatever.
Yeah.
I just kind of learned how I went. I didn't take a course because honestly, and this is going to sound so jaded, but I was like, I don't need a course. Like, I can do the research on my own. I can look at stuff. I can play around and do all the free trials to see what I like and what I don't like. And even now, like, more stuff pops up. And I'm like, okay, like, I'll try it. But I will say, in January, when it wasn't just me, there was probably like a good 2 or 3 months where I was like testing out different systems and how to streamline stuff, because I am very type A, but like now I was leading a team. So systems had to get changed. And I had to find not just what was efficient for me, but what was efficient for my team and then the clients that we were serving too.
What do you think are, well, two things. What are your like favorite apps or like things that you use, and what are the ones I think that are maybe like the ones you use most often or that like help your clients the most maybe?
So favorite apps, I will say internally, I really like Slack for my team.
Mhm.
That was something like from the get-go I honed in on because I'm very much like I want my team to have the work-life balance. Couchside started out of my burnout.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody on my team burning out. So I didn't want to be flooding people's emails with like, hey, we have somebody new. Are you interested in this? Or hey, I need to touch base with you. I wanted something different, and Slack had that. Like, we
Mhm.
can do private chats in it. We can do, every single one of our clients has their own channel in Slack. So anybody who's working with Sally is in that channel, and any communication about Sally, it doesn't have to be this long email chain. It's all
Yeah.
right. So I personally love Slack. I'm also a big fan of Meet Edgar, and I don't know how many people have heard of Meet Edgar. And I feel like I'm a horrible business person because people are like, doesn't that go against like the packages that you offer? Because we do offer social media packages, but like I'm all about working smarter, not
Yeah.
harder. And Meet Edgar was a game changer for me in private practice and for Couchside of like getting content up there for social media because most people don't have time. They don't want to look at it. Like, get it up there, make sure it's an evergreen post, and it'll just keep recycling it, and you
Mhm.
don't have to worry about it.
I know, I just signed up for Meet Edgar because basically you told me to. And you know what? It's still helpful because it I'm not the one doing it. Like I paid for it and I set it up, but the VAs are the ones going in and
Yeah.
scheduling everything and
Mhm.
adding all of my old content also. So it's still useful. What are the most requested services that therapists have for you? Do you work with any other industries or just therapists?
I did. I never planned on niching down and only working with therapists, but most of our referrals are word of mouth referrals. So literally like 99% of our clientele are
Yeah.
therapists. But we'll work with anybody. I will say most requested service, it kind of goes in like ebbs and flows. For a while, social media, everybody and their mother wanted social media.
Mhm.
So that was like a big one. I think 1 month we onboarded like 12 new people just for social media alone. It was insane. Um, then I feel like SEO started being like a buzzword all of a sudden the closer we got to summer, and then everybody wanted to reach out and get SEO work done. Um, Now I think the typical summer slump that happens for many of us, people are requesting admin services because they have the time now to train their VA so that when things amp back up, they've already gotten their feet wet. So right now, currently, most requested service is admin work.
Tell us also like what VAs can help with and maybe some more unique things, because what I hear a lot from therapists and from my own consulting and coaching clients is like, I want to delegate, but I don't know how, and I don't know what they could do for me.
Mhm.
And I think it would be helpful from like to hear from your perspective, like all of the things that you do, because I talk about delegating like constantly. It's my favorite thing to talk about. It's my favorite tool for people to use because I know from growing a practice from just me to 15 people to selling that to starting a new business and also being diagnosed with ADHD, like delegating is like the crux of being successful, in my
Yes.
opinion.
I totally agree with that. I see a lot of times when people are coming to Couchside, they've either never had a VA, so they don't know what to expect, or they have had a not so good one.
Mhm.
So us like some VAs specialize in certain services. Couchside is more general. We're kind of a jack of all trades. So like admin realm, We do a lot with like scheduling, whether it's like calling people, emailing people, going into EHR systems and clicking the approve button. We've worked with a lot of like newer therapists who needed help picking an EHR, so we can do research on that. Setting up the EHR, setting up self-scheduling in EHR is like a huge thing. Inbox management, emails going in, taking your inbox and start creating labels for it, start creating, I'm blanking on the word now, automation. So when somebody comes in, it goes straight to the folder. We'll do like data entry, especially if people like want to like run analytics on their practice. We can do non-clinical screening for like potential clients. So the typical, you know, do you accept insurance? If not, what's your rate? You know, do you have availability? Billing, super bills, document creation, flyer creation. If you have an event coming up, you're trying to run a new group, all of those things we can help with. Spreadsheet creation. I am like a queen of spreadsheets. Like I use them for everything, like tracking CEUs. There's a spreadsheet for that.
Love that.
Blog writing is a big one too. People are like, oh, you'll write my blogs for me? Yep, we can write your blogs for you. That's like the main admin side of it. I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm leaving out. Presentations. Some people will have like a presentation and they're not like tech savvy and like Canva or anything, so we can do that. Social media is a big one. It's where the marketing and networking is right now. And most people don't like it. I personally don't love social media, so lots of requests for social media, keeping up with the trends, you know, like reels are big now, or carousel posts. How do I do them? What are hashtags? Especially like the older therapists, they're like, I have an Instagram. I don't know what to do with it.
That's fair.
You at least got one. Business consulting and coaching is something that some VA services or some VA companies provide as a service. SEO, like I said earlier, is another big one. So like looking at your website and amping the SEO up, because it's a long haul SEO. Website development, creation, editing, graphic design stuff, kind of like everything you can think of aside from sitting across from your client, we can help with. And not just us, but just VAs in general.
Yeah, which is huge because these are the things that burn a lot of people out and bottleneck them, and they get like caught up, or even like I'm also very big on analytics and KPIs, and so that's another huge one that I'm like, just delegate that if you don't want to do it. You need to know, especially if you are a group practice, you absolutely need to know those things. But if you're not good at it, or you don't know how, or you don't want to, that is why this exists.
Exactly. And that speaks to like the branding piece too, of like looking at the analytics of like, is that the brand that you created? And if not, like, do you need to make adjustments? And just being consistent with your branding too. Like a lot of people will come on and they have a gorgeous website and they've started social media, or, you know, they have business cards, they have all these things, but like none of it matches. Yeah. And I'm like, you want that consistency. So when people see those colors, when people see that logo, they think you.
Yeah. Huge. Also something that a lot of us as therapists don't think about.
Yeah. I never thought of it. Like I never had a class in marketing or running a business. They pushed you to have a private practice, but they never taught you how to create one or how to run it.
Yeah, exactly. And the marketing is huge. And that's definitely something that we don't learn in school.
Nope, it is not.
How many hours, like I'm thinking too, because I know in this group we have, obviously it's about group practice, but we also have a lot of solo practitioners. But I'm thinking even for a group practice, if they needed somebody like, I don't know, 10 to 20 hours a week, is that something that Couchside could manage, or is that looking outside to somebody else?
Yes. So one of the biggest things when I decided to do Couchside was I wanted to bridge that gap of like what I was seeing in my own experiences, what I was hearing, and like yes, I wasn't planning on niching down to therapists, but of like what is missing for therapists. And I found a lot of these had these huge packages. Like you had to have 20 hours a week. And I'm like, I don't even work 20 hours. Like I don't even see 20 people a week. Like
Yeah.
that's not feasible. And running a business, whether solo or a group, like it's expensive. So trying to keep costs down. Couchside in specific, we have 3 different packages for admin work. Our lowest package is 10 hours a month. So if you do the math, that's 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week roughly. Up from that, we have a 20-hour a month package and then a 30-hour a month package. But then we also say you can do kind of like a pay as you go, an hourly rate. And we say like at minimum, we do 5 hours a month, which is essentially an hour a week. And I've never had anybody that could not meet that. Some people are like, I don't know if I have that. I'm like, you definitely have 5 hours a month. You have it.
You definitely do. If you're not sure, work with me or Nikki and we will find it for you, like for real.
Yeah. And I'll tell people too, if like they're on the fence, I'll say like, listen, like you don't have to like onboard right now. Take the next month and start keeping track on your own. That's what I did when I initially hired a VA before I had Couchside. I started clocking like how many hours I was spending emailing people, scheduling, like all the things outside of the clinical room. And then I was like, oh, I absolutely have 5, 10, 20 hours.
I do the same practice for myself, and I also encourage my coaching and consulting clients to do the same thing. Like really track how you're spending your time and get very detailed with it. Not just emails, but are you emailing new clients? Are you emailing to pitch people? Are you emailing about training? Like what is it? Get very detailed and then go through and look at it and evaluate if it's something that you like doing. And if you don't like doing it, you can delegate that to somebody else. Or if it's something that takes you a lot of time, you can also probably delegate that to somebody else besides like seeing clients. But
Exactly. I'm big on the Eisenhower Matrix of like, what are things you don't need to do? You don't need your skill set as a therapist to do that might be important, that might be urgent, that you can delegate to a VA. And I encourage people like start small, like start with only 5 hours a month. And just like in therapy, building that rapport with your VA. And then as you learn to trust them, you start delegating more tasks out to them.
I am also obsessed with the Eisenhower Matrix. I talk about it all the time. I have a couple videos in this group where I go through how to use it. So if you're watching this and you've never done that before, you can write it on a piece of paper or you can Google it. There's like a bunch of templates. It is so helpful. It seems so simple, but really when you just brain dump it out on a piece of paper, it really helps you compartmentalize what you should and can be doing and what other people can do for you.
I even took it a step further. I love Airtable. So if anybody loves Airtable, I essentially created an Eisenhower Matrix in Airtable for myself.
Oh my God, that is amazing. I also love Airtable and I like Notion too. I actually use both for different things.
But like that speaks to like just systems too of like what things can you also automate. So like maybe if you're not at the point of delegating, maybe that first step is doing automations, which something like Airtable can do. So it's off your plate. You don't have to worry about it, but it still gets done.
Exactly. Which again, just goes back to preventing burnout. So, and it's doable. And I think these are also things that like when I just kind of started learning about all this kind of stuff, I feel like in the past year, because as I moved away from clinical work and more into coaching and consulting, you start to learn more about these apps and softwares and all these other systems that can help you. And I wish I would have known about them sooner because I would have had way more automations in the past. But there are so many things out there that can support you and make your life a lot easier. So
agreed. And I'm guilty of it. Like I would just always use like my EHR system. I'm like, oh, like it'll give me reminders. It'll do X, Y, Z. But like it's not enough. And I wish if anybody out there knows how to do this, I wish I knew how to do it because I feel like I would be making gazillion dollars of like an EHR system that implements these things like Airtable and automations and all of these things for therapists.
They should, because then it would be like a one-stop shop for everything, and you wouldn't have to use something else on top of it to manage all of that stuff.
Exactly.
So when I get a couple $1 million to invest in an EHR, we can work on that together.
Thanks.
Well, tell us if there's anything else that I missed that you would want people to know, and then of course how they can find you, and if you, if there's anything else. Also, Nikki is in this group, so if you are watching this live later, you can put hashtag replay, and we will come back and make sure we answer your questions too.
Agreed. Yes. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, I'm just like big on supporting therapists through of like, if you've never delegated out, if you've never hired, it is like really, really scary to do. So of like taking the time, looking at with any VA service, I'm not talking just with Couchside, but of like, what is your budget? How much stuff do you want to delegate? How many hours do you want to delegate? Because that's usually the biggest thing with VAs is that they have different packages, they have minimums. Some have like a long-term commitment. Couchside, we just do month-to-month commitments. Again, because like summer slump, you might not need all the admin work right now. Some VA places require like a 3 to 6 month commitment. That might not be doable for your practice. So like really figuring out what works for you and your practice, and then doing the research to find a company that works for you. Don't bend and mold yourself to like work for the company. Have the company work for you.
That's
Yeah.
huge. I know like one of my coaching clients, she was going to use a service and they were going to make her sign a year contract. And I was like, my personal advice would be no, because what if you hate them and what if they suck? You can't get out of that. A year is a really long time.
It is a really long time. And we've had clients with Couchside who come in and are like, I want all these services. And I'm like, okay. And then after a month or two, it's like, okay, like I've streamlined stuff now. Like I don't need all of this. Perfect. I don't want you to have to pay for something you don't need or you might not want anymore. Like,
appreciate it. And it's appreciated the way, I like the way that you do it too, because I've used other VA services and I've looked at other VA services and it's not as flexible. A lot of them have like a really high monthly hourly minimum and like these long contracts. So I appreciate where you're coming from with all of that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, if anybody's interested, our website is couchsidecoordinators.com. I can put it in the chat too. We're on Instagram also. We have a bunch of services. I do a free, I call it consultation call, but it's a discovery call because I'm not in therapist mode. But also just happy to chat too. Like even if you're not ready to onboard and you're just thinking about it, like I'm more than happy to sit down and figure out, what works for you, even if it's not us.
Yeah.
Even if it's not Couchside.
Well, that's also appreciated. So that's amazing. We will obviously tag Nikki below, and then it's just couchsidecoordinators.com. So that's very easy. And again, if you are watching this later, make sure you put hashtag replay so that we can come back and answer all of your questions. But this was extremely helpful, and I really appreciate you taking the time and being flexible with technology to get on today.
I've never done a Facebook Live before. I've done Instagram Lives, but this was the first one, and it went way better than Instagram Live. So
Instagram Live always has like a bunch of like weird glitches, and I always get like random people who are trying to join. Like it feels safer to me because it's just in the group.
So no, it was fine. And I think all of you who's like watching live, who's catching it later, again, any questions that pop up or concerns with VA stuff, like happy to chat.
Thank you so much, Nikki, and I'll make sure and tag everything below if anybody has questions or you want to just chat with Nikki about how a VA could help support your solo or group practice. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.